Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I hope that you're doing well today on a Thursday morning. Thank goodness it's Thursday because tomorrow's Friday. And of course, temperatures today will reach around 62 degrees. 33 degrees at the airport this morning, so a cold morning out there. It's better, of course, than windy, and of course, the longer the day goes, the more the wind picks up. The wind should pick up around 15 degrees this afternoon, so you folks trying to wet a hook, that hook's going to be moving today. Is that right, Steve? Mm-hmm. Boy, it was really moving yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Got a new camera. I'm going to smile for it. That's my first smile for the camera. Yeah, I have trouble smiling now, Steve. I don't know what it is. Is it old age or what?
I don't know.
Steve Camp, my boss man, is in the audience this morning, as he is always, and he is proud of that new camera, and nothing but the best for Troy Cable. Is that right?
That's right.
And we can be seen right now in San Diego, California. Is that right?
That is correct.
In Seattle, Washington.
China.
In Spokane, Washington. In Beijing, China. We could actually see it in Beijing.
Oh, yeah.
Hello to all you folks in Beijing, and I hope you're doing well. That's a beautiful city, a huge city, but it's not quite as big as Shanghai. Shanghai, I think Beijing had 24 million or 25 million, and Shanghai had 32 million people living there, and so great town though, and great place to visit. I was able to go on a tour a couple of years ago of China and really enjoyed it. Jim Skinner Honda, located on the Ross Clark Circle in Dothan, Alabama, and of course they're dealing, believe you me, when it comes to Hondas, and Honda still is one of the very best looking vehicles on the road and one of the largest selling vehicles on the road. So drop by Jim Skinner Honda in Dothan today. Want to mention Trojan Auto Parts, my good friend, really a good friend of mine, Steve Kilcrease, and a great guy, and Mike Kilcrease. Mike Kilcrease at Trojan Auto Parts, and I went in there the other day. Well, I've been in there 2 days recently, and asked him if he didn't mind to check my oil, and and of course Mike didn't come out, but his sidekick did, and checked my oil, and said everything's running pretty good, so it looks like I'll make it to another oil change. But the other day I was a little low, and he put it in there for me. Man, I like that kind of service. And anytime you buy a windshield wiper, and I had that done the other day, and just go in and say, hey, I need a windshield wiper, and in a minute he'll come back and say, your wiper is ready. You owe me this, this, and this. And of course, great service, and the same way with the car battery. He'll replace that battery for you, and it's not easy work, so it makes you feel good to know that if you do need those things, they'll fix them for you right here at Trojan Auto Parts in Troy. Waiting for Mike Amos to call from Birmingham this morning, and of course, as we mentioned, a cold morning out at the airport. 38 degrees here in town, but 33 degrees out at the airport, and of course that seems to always be the way it works, but it tickled me in the messenger yesterday. It has a picture of 3 men that are running for governor of the state of Alabama. One of them is Scott Dawson, the other one's Tommy Bartlett, and the other one is Bill Hightower. That's amazing that these 3 guys will come, and then Governor Kay Ivey planned to attend, but had some last-minute things come up. But the Republican Party putting them on the table, and that's what they were this past Tuesday night at the Troy Country Club. And I tell you, that's very effective, and to be able to bring a governor, right here to town. Of course, we've got big savings going on at Piggly Wiggly. Piggly Wiggly, with their store on North 39th Street in Troy, and also in the shopping center on the bypass. Of course, right now they've got boneless ribeye loins, ladies and gentlemen, and that is $3.99 a pound. They've got sirloin pork chops, 97 cents a pound. They've got split breast, just $1.49 a pound. That's the jumbo pack. Sirloin pork chops, 137. Boneless shoulder roast, 269. Party wings, those 3-pound bags, make those good wings, $6.95. And then of course catfish fillets, $14.38. That's a 2-pound bag. And then a small sausage, 3 for $10, and that's Kelly's sausage. 3 16-ounce packages for $10 today at Piggly Wiggly, and then sliced turkey or ham for your sandwiches, 3 for $5. The sales go on and on and on. PepsiCo products, 96 cents for a 2-liter pack. Saltine, premium saltine crackers, 16 ounces, 188, and of course that's a great buy. And they got some of my favorites over in the produce department, and those cantaloupes are sweet and delicious, 2 for $3. And the sales go on and on and on today at Piggly Wiggly, in the located on North 39th Street and in the shopping center right next to my favorite Chinese restaurant on the bypass. And of course we appreciate all of our sponsors this morning, and of course appreciate you even more for watching our show. Of course, we've got a lot to talk about. We've got the Sweet 16 starts their games today. We'll be watching that on TV, and I'll give you some schedules to look at in just a few moments. And want to mention, of course, Alabama's full-fledged practice going on. Retired running back coach changed just part of a shake-up, which they just moved a couple of guys around. But we've got Alabama already through their second day of drills, and then Troy will start their second day today. So we're looking for that. And of course, Troy is in their second day. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. Good morning. How you doing?
Hey, morning.
Mike Amos calling you from the big city. What's the temperature, Mike?
It's supposed to be freezing, is what they said last night.
Well, it was freezing at the airport in Troy today, or right at freezing, 33 degrees. I call that freezing, don't you?
Yeah, you think that killed a few azaleas?
Well, I don't know. You know, those azaleas are pretty tough. But, you know, the azaleas, they do crazy things. They come out too early most of the time, and then they hang around too late. I always hoped that they'd hang around to Easter, you know.
Yeah, ours have been out for a while.
But you know, mine are holding on. Of course, I've got those big, tall azaleas. They like trees, you know.
Yeah, people actually come and take pictures in front of y'all's house. I remember.
I know that's
over the years.
Yeah, well, Miss Pearl Peacock gave us those azaleas, and you know, everybody remembers Miss Pearl Peacock lived over on Elm Street, and I remember digging some up in their yard and planting them.
So I guess the NCAA basketball tournament starts by tonight.
Yeah, and of course.
So who we got playing tonight?
Well, you got Kentucky, the Wildcats. I don't know if they play tonight or not, but
yeah, you got Kentucky, Kansas State. Kentucky's a 5.5 point favorites. Then you got Nevada against Loyola Chicago. Troy used to play Loyola Chicago, and Nevada's a 1 point favorite. I think the actual correct way to pronounce it is Nevada.
Nevada, okay, or not
Nevada,
but
Nevada instead of Nevada.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's Nevada, Mike.
Nah, they were talking about this on the radio the other day. I think people from actual Nevada, they call it Nevada, people that are from that state.
Yeah, I got you. You know, I'm going to make a prediction. I've got an upset brewing in my mind. And it is Kansas State to beat Kentucky.
Man, I don't see it. I just don't think Kansas State's.
Well, they must be
that
pretty good.
I really think. University of Maryland, Baltimore County would have won if they just made some shots.
Yeah.
Then Michigan against Texas A&M tonight, 2.5 point favorite Michigan, and then Gonzaga -6 against Florida State tonight.
I was hoping Coach Don Maestri will call us. He called us the other day, and it would tickle me if he'd call us and give us a rundown of those games. Of course, they're out in Los Angeles, which they're 2 hours behind us. So I'm sure he's an early morning guy, though. It wouldn't surprise me. He goes to mass probably 6 or 6:30 every morning.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Steve Camp goes to mass at 3:30 every morning. He gets up, goes to mass, and goes back to bed. Of course, some folks just get up early all the time, Mike. You're not used to that.
Shoot, I'm used to it now since I got 2 little babies, man. I'm up every morning by at least 6:15.
It's like an alarm, isn't it? It's almost like an alarm. How accurate is it usually?
I mean, it's definitely about 6:30 every day.
Well, you've got a little girl in Mary Prater who now is, 16, 17 months old, that is just the sweetest little girl as far as going to bed. Is that right?
She's 19 months now.
Or 19. But she goes to bed and doesn't wake up, does she?
No, she sleeps at least 11 hours every night.
Are you serious? Is that too much?
No, that's fine. I mean, little Millie.
Calling Dr. Seuss. Calling Dr. Seuss.
Little Millie's been sick, so she hadn't been sleeping through the night, so we've been dealing with her.
So. She's turned. I hate that. I hope she'll feel better. I'm coming up there to see her this weekend. You go ahead and tell her that. That'll make her feel better.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Auburn tomorrow, so I'll see all the Auburn coaches at the Auburn Coaches Clinic. All the high school coaches will be down there tomorrow, so I'll be in Auburn Arena tomorrow morning with Wagner's Team Sports.
So they'll be in the old arena or new arena?
New arena.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll have a booth down there, and Malzahn's really good with all the high school coaches. He walks around and talks to everybody.
He really is, and I think that is something that, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Malzahn being friendly to coaches. And that's the people you need to be friendly to. A good coach could say, hey, son, you need to go there. They can do that, can't they?
We saw Saban in Montgomery, a few months ago, and he was really friendly. He was out.
But you know what? He looked like he was a little bit out of sort, a little bit, though. That didn't look like that was his natural way.
Well, I think, winning a national championship, he was probably always
one of the things about it, Mike, he's so short. Did you realize how short he was among all those other coaches?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows he's like around 5'7".
But he walks tall, doesn't he?
Malzahn's a big, tall guy. He's like 6'3" at least.
Yeah. Well, of course,
it'll be fun. They set up right in the arena, and I don't know what guest speakers, different coaches. I know Mac Brown spoke last year, a few other coaches. So that's always fun for me to kind of step in there and hear a few conversations.
I was real privileged the other night in Montgomery to watch that clinic and hear that clinic, and I was great to hear the Alabama weight coach, strength coach speak, and I was really amazed at what he had to say. He said not the weights are not the most important thing. The jump rope is the most important thing. Is that right? Agility.
Well, Scott Cochran said that.
Yeah, agility. Yeah. And, to me, you got to have good coordination to jump rope. These big guys, I don't see how they do it. Mike Amos is...
Update on Tagovailoa's hand injury is he should be out another week, is what they're saying.
Oh, gosh. That's not good. They needed the word, don't you think?
Well, I mean, it's just, a situation where him and Jalen Hurts were battling for the starting job, so looks like Hurts will probably be the starter throughout the rest of the spring.
Yeah, and maybe the summer, too, don't you think?
Well, no, I think he'll be back. They said he'll be back, probably been able to grip the ball here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Troy has not made a decision yet on what they're going to do, but there is rumor out, Mike, that Troy's going to play is going to play his first game against Boise on a Thursday. That's rumor now.
You keep on saying that. I wonder if that's going to happen.
But wouldn't that be something if they could play on that Thursday? Be one of the first games of the year.
Yeah, I would definitely try to make that game.
Yeah, season tickets.
I think I'd try to make that game and then wake up the next morning and go to the beach. The rest of the weekend.
You can get season tickets to Troy games. This is in the non-reserved area. $60 a season ticket. I can remember how many games I threw away last year of Alabama games that they played poor competition, and we paid more than that.
We got money for all those games. We just didn't get our Tide Pride back for it.
Yeah. But let me make something very perfectly clear. I would not go to any of those games, especially if Troy was in driving or flying distance. I'll go to Troy first. So I am a Troy guy first. Of course, I think I saw Alabama play just one time last year.
Yeah, I only saw them play twice last year.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
If you look at their schedule, how does their schedule look? We ought to try to take a look at Alabama and Auburn's schedule before long.
I mean, their schedule looks pretty good next year.
Well, I mean, they're going to be very competitive.
Yeah, I mean, you got Auburn back in the mix. I'll pull it up here in a second.
Boise, of course, ladies and gentlemen, will be coming to Troy this fall, and right now they're scheduled for Saturday, for the first Saturday in the season, and that game be played in Troy, and Troy plays 6 home games during the 2018 campaign, including visits from Boise State, Georgia State, and Louisiana. So some very good games coming to Troy this weekend, this season, and then also they open up the new end zone, which won't have as many seats. I think they're close to 500 seats in that facility, and there'll be a sort of I don't know if they're going to do a lottery. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but they're going to. I'm sure they'll pre-sell some of those tickets, but then I think they're going to find a way to give people that wish to be up there an opportunity to be up there. So, of course, it is going to be a beautiful facility. I've already seen the scoreboard open and up, and it is fabulous. I tell you, I just thought it was big until I looked at it compared to the old scoreboard, and it's about 3 times bigger. And it's a beautiful scoreboard. It's going to lighten up that stadium. It's going to bring a lot of acoustics to that stadium too, Mike. State of the art.
Yeah, well, that's what Alabama and Auburn games are now. They're like glorified concerts. They play so much music throughout.
And then, of course,
they're constantly playing music throughout the game.
And this will, I'm sure you'll see a big name, maybe like Boyce, some of these big name speaker system, wouldn't you think?
Oh, I'm sure.
All right,
I was reading where Jacksonville State University is closed through April the 2nd. I mean, it is amazing that nobody was killed in that tornado.
It was so fortunate that school was out. It was so fortunate school was out. Troy would have been in because they were out last week. Jacksonville State was out this week, and that's what happened. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Mike, they've announced the Alabama High School girls state. Well, actually, they announced the most valuable players in each division, and then 5A. Mario Davenport from Charles Henderson, the junior center, 6'4", is one of the top 3 in 5A. Tay Cannon of Marbury, a guard, and Faith Reynolds of Winona, who's also a senior, are up for that for the finalists of Mr. Basketball in those individual sports. So keep your fingers crossed. It's not going to surprise me at all if Mario Davenport wins that award. She's an outstanding player. Duke, Mike, is got a shot at it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, anytime you hear the name Duke, I mean, Coach K's got a younger team, but, you know, they've got Grayson Allen and Marvin Bagley is the top freshman in the country, the big guy. So, I mean, a lot of people think they're the team to beat right now to get to the Final Four for sure.
Well, you know, Grayson Allen doesn't seem like he's had the year he had last year. Is that right?
Well, I just don't think he's, like, you know, done the off the court or the on the court antics he had last year. You know, he was known for tripping people and had a bunch of questionable fouls and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's one of those things where I think he still averaged over 17 a game.
Yeah. Of course, we're looking forward to some games today. In fact, Mike, we're going to be playing today and Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday. Is that right?
That's correct.
In fact, Texas A&M 22-12 goes up against Michigan 30-7. Who did you like there in that game?
I mean, I got Michigan going to the Final Four, but I mean, I'm pulling for A&M.
Okay, you got Michigan, Florida State, and Gonzaga. Florida State 22-11, very athletic, playing out of the Atlantic Coast Conference, but Gonzaga 32-4. I like Gonzaga. What's their nickname, Mike? The Bulldogs?
That's right.
The Gonzaga Bulldogs. I got a hat. You know what? I ought to give that away, shouldn't I?
Well, I remember
whoever wins the Final Four,
when I was out there.
Whoever wins the Final Four, I'm gonna give them that hat.
Park Crossing looks like they're looking for a new coach. Smitty Grider.
Smitty left.
Leaving Park Crossing to take over Hazelwood.
Yeah, but you know Hazelwood at one time was an old country. Hazel Green was an old country town, but it's not an old country town anymore. Hazelwood's got to be a pretty big town, and Frank Jr., yeah. Isn't that right, Frank Jr.? You ever been to Hazelwood?
I've been to Hazel Green, Tennessee.
I mean, Hazel Green, excuse me, Hazel Green.
Yeah, I used to live up there.
And it's gotten to be bigger and bigger and bigger, so that's why it's grown. It's a 7A school now, Mike.
Yeah, it's 6A, I thought. Charles Henderson played them this year and got beat.
All right, wait a minute. It's you know what? It's Buckhorn that's 7A. Are you
that's
familiar
right.
with Buckhorn?
Buckhorn's 7A.
Yeah, that's 7A, and you're right. Hazel Green, who is 17-1 in girls softball so far this year, boy, they're really good. They spend a lot of effort on their athletic programs, Mike. And thank you, Frank. What did you steal from me, Frank? You came and got some off my board. Well, I think I'll let you have it. I talked to your daddy last night, Frank, and he scolded you over the phone. I talked to your daddy after almost 9 o'clock last night.
Oh, he answered your phone?
Yeah, and talked to him. And I'm going to pick him up, and he's going to have his bags packed, and we're going to bring him back home this afternoon.
Okay,
Yeah, y'all going to go break him out?
Is that okay with you?
Hey, Sean said his blood sugar Sunday was over 600.
Well, no, he told me that he gets his blood sugar checked regularly, and he's doing well.
Okay.
This is good news for a guy that lived in Troy for a little while. Brett Gillen has signed a multi-year contract to stay at West Alabama.
Well, he's a
Won
fine
the
young
Young
coach.
Conference championship last year, 10 wins.
He won the championship last year?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, you're right, he grew up right here.
First time in 42 years.
He lived right here in Troy, and you know, Livingston. Let's go back over Livingston a little bit. You know, they've had some pretty good teams since the '60s. You know, before the '60s, they weren't very good. But you know, once they had a guy named Maurice Higginbotham. If you know who Maurice Higginbotham was, where his hometown was, and where he coached, I'll give you that Gonzaga hat. If you'll call in and tell me.
Everybody's dying for a used Gonzaga hat.
Mike, have you ever heard of Higginbothams? Have you ever heard of them?
I've met a couple of them up here.
That's right. One of them
coached at Shays Valley, one of them coached at Tuscaloosa County.
That's right. The one at Tuscaloosa County won a lot of games. And you're right, both of them played at Alabama under Coach Bryant. Maurice Higginbotham, hometown, was a little small town up North Alabama, and he coached at a very, very good program. And I'm waiting to hear from the answer from somebody this morning. That tickled me to hear that. Of course, some of those teams we'll mention. We'll mention that team after somebody calls in, and I'll give you a bunch of names that played on that team over the years. It was one of the best rounds. Mike, Justin Thomas is still number one. Is that right?
I think he's number 2.
Why didn't he play last week? Do you know why? And why didn't Mickelson play last week? That's a big tournament, Mike.
Well, a lot of these guys kind of pick and choose, courses they like. That's the kind of benefit of, there's so many different events.
Yeah. Frank Sadler Jr. I just named the song. Frank Sadler Jr. Don't you cry for me, 'cause I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee.
Thomas won his match play yesterday. Mickelson got beat. Dustin Johnson got beat. McIlroy got beat.
You mean they started yesterday?
Yeah, but it's the best of 3.
Oh, so they're still in it. Is Tiger in it?
You play. No, Tiger's not playing.
He's not. But well, who is the best match play guy out there?
It just really depends who's hot at the time.
Dustin Johnson, probably the best match play guy out there, don't you think?
A bunch of higher seeds won yesterday.
Yeah. Mickelson dropped his match to Charles Howell III.
Yeah, he's from Augusta. Charles Howell III has been playing for years.
Yeah, I know it. He used to be so skinny.
He's won a lot of money.
He used to be real skinny but he finally gained some weight. Frank, what do you think about our new camera, Steve, standing behind? Brand new camera, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you today, brought to you by the Witherington Group, located on the Elba Enterprise Highway. Remember, you're in good hands with Allstate. See Perry Green at the Witherington Agency right here in Troy. And, of course, Wise Office Supply, my good friend Elaine and Lyle. Hey, listen, look, they're big Auburn fans, Mike, but I still love them. They're great guys. They really are.
I always enjoy going to Auburn. It's usually my one trip of the year.
And you know what? And I'll tell you right now, you go to an Auburn game.
Auburn has grown tremendously since my.
Hey, I'll put their tailgate area against anybody at Auburn. I'm telling you, they've got a fabulous tailgate area, and made up mostly of Troy people too.
Well, there's a lot of Troy people that went to Auburn. There's no doubt about it.
No question about it. I tell you what, you could almost call Pike Liberal Arts Auburn U.
If I have a couple daughters one day, I'd probably feel better about them being at Auburn than in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, well, I think Auburn's a great school, no question about it. And if you talk to kids graduating from Pike Liberal Arts, most all of them are going to Auburn. It's amazing how many kids from that school go to Auburn.
Yeah, I'm still amazed when Camille was there. She was president of her sorority, Alpha Gamma, and I think there was 130 girls in her sorority, and
isn't that amazing?
And where they're from and stuff like that. It's just a different world. But Auburn's enrollment's probably around 22,000 probably. And then Alabama's now 33.
Wouldn't you
34,
think it's got more than 22,000 now, Mike? Wouldn't you think it's bigger than that now?
The Auburn.
And how big is Alabama now? And how did it grow so fast?
President Liz, the reason Alabama grew so much.
Exactly. All right, let me put you on hold a minute, Mike. Be right back with you. Good morning, you on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Mike Amos, Max Howell.
Max Howell, all right. How you doing, Max?
Doing pretty good up there. The sun's out, and it's 32 degrees. It's supposed to get up about 70 today.
Well, let me tell you, the problem here is the darn wind, Max. You can't hit a golf ball or bait a hook. So windy.
And you know what? And the other side of that, Mike, is the pollen's so bad up here. I live on the river, and pine trees everywhere. I looked out the window yesterday. I saw a gust of wind blow a ball of pollen, and it struck to my house.
Oh, man.
It's awful. It's awful.
Of course, Max Howell calling us from Fulton, Mississippi. Is that right?
That's right.
And, of course, Max, very well-known coach and commentary guy and sports talk show host. And how things going? What do you got going right now?
Well, this is kind of the offset. We're getting ready. I've been to a couple of spring training practices already, Mike, and that's, it's that time of year. Everybody's getting ready. I read a good report on Troy, and that's what really made me want to call in this morning. And I know
Saban's bossing everybody around again. Somebody needs to fight back. Somebody needs to fight back.
Well, Mike, the competitiveness of that sport causes a lot of people a lot of emotion.
Yeah,
they'll know that.
Yeah.
So and again, I think Neil's done a remarkable job. You and I've talked about that so many times.
That's right.
And I think I'm excited about where they are. I'm coming to the spring game on the 21st. And I'm really excited about a chance to see them and see what they look like.
All right, I'm fixing to put you on hold a minute. And if I lose you, please call me back. We're gonna bring this other line in. All right, let's see here. Have I got you, Max? Still got you, Max?
I'm right here, Mike.
All right, brother. I lost that other line, but I do that quite a bit. Of course, Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi today. And you're right, Max. The football is in the air. Troy, and it seems like everybody's looking for a quarterback except for Auburn. Troy's got a big quarterback battle between the young man from the Milton, Florida area, and then another young man who is from up around Priceville, Alabama. Can you believe that? The little town of Priceville, right below Decatur.
You're right. I know exactly where it is.
This kid is from there, Coach, and he can fly. This quarterback.
Well, that fits Neil's system. The read option quarterback situation is where I think really what got him. Had a couple of good running backs, and I read the depth of running back coming back as well. So I'm excited for him. I'll tell you. I know when you lose a guy like Silvers, who's been your quarterback for 3 or 4 years, that creates a lot of doubt sometimes. But if you've done a good job recruiting, you got somebody waiting in the wings, and evidently Troy's done that.
No question about it. And of course, Troy, of course, with the battle there, and then Troy, Alabama. I don't care what anybody says, as long as Hurts out there. Do you think Hurts gonna give up that job, Max, without a fight?
No, I think it's going to be a battle, and I'm going to be so interested to see how they handle, that.
Yeah.
As far as playing two quarterbacks, Nick Saban's never been a two quarterback.
Now, that's what I said yesterday, Max. I say the same thing. I don't see how they can help but play two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to and have each one of them packaged. Now, here's the key to that, Mike, as you know, is what about the kids? How satisfied are they going to be?
Exactly.
If both of course, got going for them is all the talent around them with a chance to go back again and play for a championship.
Yeah.
But, things can happen. I mean, Tua gets hurt the first day with his throwing hand. So,
exactly.
He had to go to Birmingham yesterday and take a look at it and see. But the fact is they got depth in every other position.
Yeah. Well, the kid that they had as a backup who was transferring in from East Carolina decided to go to Washington State. These seniors can do about what they want to if they got a year of eligibility, can't they?
Well, you're right, but you know what? Think about it from that kid's position. Would you want to go there with 1 year to go?
No, and sit on the bench. You're exactly right. I thought it was crazy.
Yep. So I think they've got their opportunities. I think to try to improve their program with two quarterbacks. But you're right. Most everybody else has got to find one. You go to look at Florida, you look at Tennessee, or look at Texas A&M. Now Mississippi State's got one coming back in the Fitzgerald kid.
Oh, that's right.
Ole Miss has got one coming back with a junior college kid they had last year. So
the other kid skipped and went to Michigan, didn't he? Patterson, didn't he?
Yeah, but you know what, Mike? That hasn't been released yet. His eligibility has not been settled yet. The NCAA has not ruled him eligible automatically. They're going to be, but they've not ruled. The Jefferson kid, the wide receiver, went to Florida with Mullen. So, there's going to be. It was only 3 of those guys that ended up transferring from Ole Miss. I personally believe the NCAA is going to release them and let them play.
Yeah.
But now, if it had been 8 or 10, they probably wouldn't have. But I think with 3 only, it appears from what I find out more in Oxford, that those kids will be eligible for next year.
The ex Ole Miss coach was in Troy the other day, and there was a room here where, oh gosh, Drew Brees is here. What are we gonna do? Is he gonna coach on our staff? Is he gonna come in and coach 1 year and then be our head coach? All these rumors were thrown everywhere, and then I find out he's just here to talk ball. You know, coaches do that this time of year. Is that right, Max?
They do, absolutely right. That's what, in particular, unemployed ones.
That's right.
They so much, they cruise around and get it, and they want to try to stay in the game and keep their connections up. But I think, in all fairness, Hugh Freeze is going to have a hard time getting back in.
One of the, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Yeah, not so much, Mike, his on the field problems with recruiting and all, but his off field kind of.
Well, Max Howell told me something way before all this started happening with Brees that there were some problems, and Max knew some things under the table, which he does, and he's a gentleman. He doesn't just go out and throw them out to wash, but I knew you were telling me way back that he had some problems.
Well, you can't. Look, Mike, I've been around it long enough, and I'm fortunate enough to be in some really good programs. And the fact is that you can't go from middle of the pack to the top in 1 or 2 years unless basically unless you're breaking the rules.
And Max told me something.
Because of that.
Yeah, Max told me something one day for you Alabama and Auburn fans to hear. He said, if Alabama wants him, he's gonna get him.
That's very
so when Alabama wants somebody and don't get him, something's wrong. Is that right, Max?
Most of the time, that's right.
I mean, what I'm saying, a bright star goes up by his name. Is that right?
Exactly right. And and they've created the environment there. They've won the championships.
Yeah.
They play competitive ball every year. And here's the key to it. I think a lot of people overlook. Look at the number of kids that go to the NFL from that program.
Oh, yeah.
And and Mike, and when you recruiting now in today's market, that's what these kids are looking for. They've been told since they were 8 or 9 years old how great they are. Yeah. They want to go to a program that they can, show off their talents, and they want to go to the NFL and get paid.
Exactly.
So it's kind of a evolving circumstance for a lot of these kids. Now I don't blanketly say that for everybody. But the fact is the majority of them, I spent 30 plus years in that market, and I'm going to tell you, the majority of them think that way, and that's what they expect.
In fact, you were the recruiting coordinator for Ole Miss at one time, and, it used to be pretty hard, when they were playing Dixie and things like that. Isn't that right?
When I said, yeah, that was all
And, one of the first things Chan Gailey did when he got to Troy was to stop Dixie. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, he felt like he couldn't recruit, and because of that.
Right.
I've never really talked about that, but it was the truth. I know that.
Yeah. Well, I was at Ole Miss when they did away with the flag. They did away with Colonel Rep on the sidelines. They did all of those things. And I hate to see I understood from a sociological situation how it could affect you, but I'll be honest with you, Mike, I was there for 2 recruiting classes, and both our classes were in the top 10 in the country.
Max, it's probably one of the proudest programs in the country, wouldn't you say? I mean, people at Ole Miss are proud folks. Kentucky folks are proud folks.
And the fact is they were still, many of those guys still living, in the 100-year past. We all understood that. But the fact is sometimes you have to change.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the world's worst about it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was reluctant, but if you go to compete, then you got to go and do what society's saying you got to do.
No question about it.
Consequently, they made the changes.
Of course, Max Howell is visiting us this morning from. You're a little bit more uphill than we are, don't you, Fulton? What is it? It's you're just south of Memphis, aren't you?
Listen, I'm I'm halfway point between Memphis and Birmingham. I'm right on the state line, right on the Tennessee Tonbigby River. It runs right down the state line, and certainly have as good a lifestyle, Mike, as you can even imagine.
I know it. We're going to talk about some of that in a minute. I want to mention a very good friend of ours on this Troy staff that played at Troy, was a very good player, and then coached in the junior colleges. His name is Jordan Leslie. Max, I'm sure you probably have met him a few times, haven't you?
I remember the name.
Well, he's a full-time defensive coach now at Troy, and he's from Fulton. Right. Jordan Leslie was from Fulton, Mississippi. In their junior college there, in the big junior college located there.
Etowah Community College.
Yeah.
It's right downtown Fulton. There's about 8,000 students in that school.
Isn't that amazing? Well, let me ask you something about it. All of these junior colleges. How many total junior colleges are they?
There are 14 in Mississippi, and they all play competitive football.
And I think most all of them have artificial surface on their fields. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Look.
I mean, what I'm saying, you got to be fairly rich to be able to do that. You know.
Well, they get like I say, they appeal to a lot of kids. They do a lot of industrial training now because they're big automobile manufacturers have moved into the state of Mississippi. They're trying to raise the economic standards. You know, Mississippi, bless their heart, have been at the bottom of the scale for years, but they're gradually changing that.
But every college in the country, they play on Thursday nights. Is that right?
Yes, they do.
So, I mean, I bet you go over there some on Thursdays if you're not working, don't you?
Absolutely. I go up and down the river a lot, and when I see the lights on, I always check to see who they're playing, but I'll stop in 2 or 3 times a year.
You know, I know junior colleges are big in California and Arizona and maybe just in a few other places, Texas. But, you know, nothing's bigger than junior college football in Mississippi. Is that right?
It's huge. In fact, it's so big, Mike, they have to limit the out-of-state scholarships. Most people, when I was coming along, they had 10, now got 8 out-of-state scholarships. Used to, they were restricted to a 5-county area to recruiting out of high school, but now they've opened it up to statewide. It has become competitive. East Mississippi has won the last 2 national championships. I mean, they have playoff games in the state for the state championship, and then the regional, and then nationals as well.
Which is real good football.
About 15 games.
Do most of these kids, all right, let's just see what happens here. Most of these kids that did not make their grades, are there kids that were not fully developed, that some of these major colleges said, go here and play 2 years and then we'll look at you again?
Both of those, Mike. They try to balance that out. There's a lot of the placement from Division I schools. Let's just take Miami. We'll say Miami, Tennessee, or wherever. That may call a coach and say, "I got a kid that's had some academic problems. Take a look at him." Now, here's the thing they don't do: the major colleges do not fund that. But they have to use the scholarship that the junior college offers. Per se, it's kind of like a recruiting tool for them. If they've got a kid and here's what it happens to them. Normally the coach, if he's a great athlete and let's say he's had some academic problems, he wants him to place, let's say here at Etowah. Well, he'll call Sean Cannon, the head coach, and says, "Look, I got one that can play. Have you got an opening first?" And they'll say, "Yeah, we got 2 scholarships left. Can you use a quarterback?" "Yes, I need a quarterback." "All right, here's a condition. I'll recommend to the kid's family they come to Etowah, but you have to almost assure me that I get a chance to re-recruit him when he gets out." And that's the stipulation that's put on the kids so many times. Because, see, once the NCAA rule, once he enrolls in junior college, he becomes a free agent again.
Yeah, oh yeah.
By anybody. So there's a lot of little rules in there that you have to be aware of. But it's a very competitive league, and I'm telling you, I've seen teams that go 7-3. They play a 10-game schedule, go 7-3. And go all the way to a championship game because it's so competitive here.
I remember at one time Ole Miss, more than half of their recruits were junior college guys. They felt like...
Well, that was probably when I was there.
Exactly. And, Troy used to recruit them pretty heavy too.
Yep. Yeah, Billy Brewer was the head coach when I was hired.
I remember that.
From Florida State to go there, Mike. And Billy had not utilized the recruiting from the junior college system. And he was kind of struggling. He was around 6-5. That time they were playing 11, 6-5, 5-6, and he was wanting to get a surge. So I went to him and told him, I said, Coach, you're sitting in the hottest bid in America right now.
Right.
I signed 11 junior college kids. And I will tell you this, out of that 11, 10 of them got an opportunity to go to the NFL.
Uh-huh.
That's how good the program was at that particular time. We won 8 or 9 the 2 years with those junior college years. That was the most wins, Mike. That was in the early 90s. That was the most wins Ole Miss had since Johnny Ball was the head coach.
And I tell you right now, you look at Auburn. Auburn hits it harder than any Auburn coach I can remember. They really hit it hard. Saban still gets players from junior college in Mississippi. But would you say probably half of the players that are playing already are sort of been put there by other major colleges?
No, not quite that many, because they only limit it down to 8 per school. I'm going to say probably a third of them, though, are recommended by major colleges to go.
Yeah. What do you mean by 8 per school? You mean 8
They only
can
get
send
8
them?
scholarships for out-of-state kids.
Oh, I got it for out-of-state kids. I got you.
Right, they can do only 8. Now, they've got about 40 scholarships.
Yeah. And you got 14 teams, so that right there is about 120-something players.
Right, exactly right.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right. But see, you understand, it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
All of those are not going to make it. They don't want to transfer. They drop out. They have home problems. They got girlfriend problems. A lot of problems that evolve. Particularly, let's just say you bring a kid into Etowamba from Miami, and he doesn't see his parents.
Oh yeah.
See, I mean I can't tell you the emotions. It's just an everyday societal thing that you have to deal with people, and that's just because you give an opportunity to play to go on to make a good living. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be successful.
I read a book a few years back. The guy's name was Bear Underwood. I want to say it was Bear Underwood. It was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. It says, this guy is meaner than Bear Bryant, or something like that. And he was a junior college coach at Scuba, Mississippi.
P.W. Underwood was the head coach at Southern Miss at one time.
Yeah.
And was a really good. In fact, he was the defensive line coach at Auburn at one time.
I remember that big guy.
He was a good friend of mine, and certainly, I mean, when I had first started in radio, he used to call the show every day.
Yeah.
He was an absolute hoot. But you're right, he was very aggressive. He was about 5'10" and about 300 pounds.
Is he still living?
No, he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago.
I was wondering because he was real big. He was real overweight and everything. I remember that well. But, Scuba, Mississippi, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not exaggerating. If I am, let me know, Max. They have 1 or 2 stores in that town.
That's one flashing, one blinking traffic light.
One blink, and we're talking about a full-fledged junior college that produces some of the best football players in the country. Wouldn't you say?
Two national championships back to back, Mike.
Oh yeah, Troy has recruited a lot of them. I mean, right here in Troy, we've reaped the benefits of a lot of good ones.
Yep, you really have. Well, Mike, we started doing that back when I was there with Billy Atkins.
And you got them from that little old junior college over in Gordon, over in Georgia, didn't you? Didn't y'all get some?
Absolutely. Of course, that used to be our warm-up game. If you remember.
That's right.
Back then, the rules allowed us to play more than 10. We go to Gordon. That'd be a scrimmage before the season. We go down to Pensacola, play the Goshawks from the naval base, played against Roger Staubach.
Exactly.
He was the quarterback there. So yeah, the rules have changed.
Yeah. Georgia military right now today produces some of the best players in the Southeast. Wouldn't you think?
Well, most of those are placed there. And that's the only junior college team in the state of Georgia that plays football.
All right, tell me, this is very important. How does these prep schools work? Like Baylor Prep?
That's a union. I mean, that's a unique entity within the NCAA. They allow these kids to go to. Here's what happens: you either have to have a GPA, a grade point average, that's better than a 2.5, or you've got to have a test score that's better than 18 on the ACT.
Yeah, I
Now,
got
if
you.
you've got one or the other, they will allow you to attend that school for 1 year. You can play you play at the junior college level, but it does not count against your eligibility.
It's like a 13th year in high school, isn't it? It's sort of like a 13th year in high school.
That's right. That's exactly. let me go back and give you a little history, Mike. That people used to do that in the junior colleges in Mississippi, but they did it under a different format. Years ago, there was every junior college had a 11th and 12th high school program, so they could actually get kids. And I'm going to give you two quick examples. At Hines Junior College, there was a guy named Earl Leggett that went to LSU, then went on to the Bears and played for 100 years, and then Jimmy Taylor that went to the Packers.
Oh yeah, he was a good one.
Both of them, those kids, Leggett was from Mississippi, Taylor was from Louisiana. Both of them went and played 2 years of junior college at the high school level, 2 years of junior college at the junior college level, then went to LSU and enrolled as a freshman and played 3 more years there before they went to the NFL.
Oh yeah, isn't that amazing?
That's a true story. Now, and of course, what evolved from that was none of the junior colleges have high schools on campus anymore. What evolved was the prep school concept that allowed these kids to play at the junior college level like a 13th year of high school.
You know, the great Alabama family, those boys, the Hannas, went to Baylor Prep in Chattanooga.
Right.
I don't know if they played an extra year or not, but they could have if they wanted to. Isn't that right?
Yeah. There are a few around. There's one up in Virginia. Union, I believe, is one that does that. I think there are only 2 or 3 that really play on a national level.
All right. Well, tell me about this Florida group that the former high school.
IMG.
Yeah. What is that? IMG.
It's the same concept, but you can't play. That just goes through the 12th grade. But those kids are highly recruited. A lot of kids out of Texas go there. That is, they do have an academic program that it is approved. And I mean, Bo Scarborough that played at Alabama was sitting down there from Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
They do. It's a confined academic area. Most of those kids tentatively have academic problems, or they've been identified as potential problems academically. So coaches, the major college coaches will talk to their family, and I don't know how they handle it.
I know. And I was wondering who pays for it, though. That's what's important.
That's the biggest secret out there.
Exactly.
If you don't know the truth. But the fact is, they do provide a program, and they do now. Deion Sanders is trying to start one in Texas right now.
Oh, I bet it's big business. I bet that is big business.
Well, it's huge business, but here's the fact: the hardest thing to do is not to find the football players, but to get the academic standards approved by the state academic board, State Board of Education.
No question about it.
That's the hardest thing to get done. IMG in Orlando has done that. And
Winky's the one that started it. Former Florida State quarterback Winky.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, he was there. Yes. Yeah, he was very instrumental in getting that started. And of course, there have been others that have tried that, and I think there was one in Tuscaloosa that tried to do it, but it had not gotten off the ground. Get the academic standards qualified.
Something else that schools are doing now, that's been talked about over the years in Texas, where they'll back a child up. Like if he's in the 7th grade, they'll let him stay in the 7th grade 1 more year instead of going up to the 8th year, the 8th grade, and it gives him 1 more year of maturity.
Very true.
A lot of families have done that now. Don't you agree?
Well, that's the family's decision. They have to do that because here's the danger, in my opinion, about that is what about the kid's burnout area? If you push him really hard at that young age, and he's in the weight room at 14, and he's running every day, and he's only playing one sport to try to grow into a great athlete at that time. At some point in time, you can have somewhat of a physical burnout and a mental burnout. Probably.
All right, Max. I'm gonna embarrass you a little bit, but I'll embarrass myself. When I was in the 6th grade, going from the elementary school to the junior high school, when I got to that school, Max, there were several things that were different. One of them was we had to start dressing out for PE. Before we had just played on the recreation yard, you know, in regular clothes.
Right.
All right, so we had to dress out with for PE, and it just so happens that ninth graders, eighth graders, and older boys were dressing out with us. Well, first of all, it was an embarrassment to have to get in the showers with some of those more mature boys, you know. And in my case, a bunch of them were the old Baptist Children's Home kids, and some of them were 14 and 15 years old. So not only was I intimidated in the shower, but also they got that wet towel. Max, have you ever got a wet towel and popped anybody with it?
Well, yeah, I remember that, Mike.
Well, let me tell you something. So we got popped with a shower every day, and it was just you dreaded going to PE because of the intimidation. But what I was going to say is, if you're going to change their grade or back them up one, do it in the sixth grade.
Yeah.
Because don't you agree the intimidation that a kid goes through in the seventh grade?
And I don't think most people think about that. I think some of the parents may get so caught up in what they want for the kid. See, here's what you have to understand, Mike, and I know your listeners know this too, but the fact is those decisions aren't the kids' decisions. Those are the parents' decisions.
Marvin and Patty Wiley. You remember Marvin Wiley?
Yes, I do.
Boy, what a great teacher he was. They used to have on rainy days they would have square dancing, and we would square dance with those older girls, ninth grade, seventh grade guys with eighth grade and ninth grade girls. Hey, us boys were really intimidated. And those little girls, those little seventh grade girls were probably intimidated too.
Well, they were, but here's the deal. What they were trying to do is...
But wasn't that fun?
Your social. Yeah, they wanted to improve your social standing, Mike.
Exactly.
That's what they were doing.
And all they were doing, every good PE teacher took dancing under Miss Watson. You remember that?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
First time you probably ever danced in your life was probably in that dance class at Troy.
Let me tell you something. I had a chance to teach that class sometimes, Mike. I'm just telling you, I love that.
I wouldn't doubt it. I know it. No question about it. But really, if you're going to bring them, hold them back a year, the sixth grade would be the best because of the tremendous difference. Well, I don't know. It might not be that way now, but ninth graders probably are over at the senior high now instead of the.
They are. The school system is most of them are 9 through 12.
That's right, 9 through 12 now. Yeah.
And of course, in the athletic, for the athletic side of it, I agree with that because it gives those guys. It's beyond the B team. It's kind of the ninth grade team. Then you elevate yourself to the B team, and then you go to the.
All right. Now I'm gonna use. I'm running out of a word here, but when a boy meets maturity, you call it what? Well, what do you call it? He's going through when he sort of puberty. All right. Have you ever seen a kid really be real good until he got to puberty? I mean, when he had to reach puberty before he could become a good athlete?
Well, yeah, and what happens is sometimes their body grows so fast.
That's right.
Their coordination can't keep up with it.
And that's why you got to be real careful on when to start working out weights. Now, you could be a good answer here.
Absolutely right, and I think it really takes a mature family, and I always go back to the family situation because those kids that come through families that have had experience in the back, in the background where they know why. The worst thing you ever want to do is put a kid that's 10, 11, or 12 years old on a weight program.
That's right.
You got to wait till his, till maturity sets in. 15, 16-year-old probably is about as early as you need to start, particularly with squats and with the knees.
And Max was a little different than everybody else, but Max, when he came to college, he looked like one of these Charles Atlas guys, had that big old neck, and he still does, but had a big old biceps, and you were much more physically fit than most anybody on the team, weren't you? Not many guys worked our weights back then, did they?
I told you that my dad played basketball at Alabama, a couple of years before the war started, but was WW2, and he went off to war. But he had enough experience that when he came back and I came along, he built me a weight program, Mike, when I was like 15 years old. And when I went into the 9th grade, he actually put me on a weight program then.
Yeah.
And I was able to play on the varsity in Prattville at that time. And, of course, went on and ended up being bigger than most of the kids on my football team. And, you know, and I got a scholarship for that.
Max, I'm gonna say something right now, and I don't know if it's inappropriate or not, but you know, I went through the age. Of course, you went through 4 then. I mean, let's admit it. You were close to being without a face mask, but you at least probably had one face mask. Is that right?
One bar, yeah.
One bar. But and then back then, of course, you know, you were getting pounded in the head. And all these coaches were telling you, they want you to hit heads up and hit with that head first, block with that head first. Well, I've got problems today, I really believe, because of that, because I had a bunch of concussions. And no question in my mind, football does cause concussions, especially the old days back when you had just that little Rydell helmet.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Mike, at all. Of course, my nose was broken 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I know it. I mean, what I'm saying, somebody's going to hit you with a forearm first lick, aren't they?
Exactly right. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was my defense for nothing.
That's right.
For me, that was my defense. I was a little stronger than most of the kids when I came along, and that was, you're right, that was the way I think that's the way I survived.
In fact, Jim Tompkins, you were sort of his hero because he started working out weights when he saw you, didn't he?
Well, he did. You know, when I first came to Troy, there wasn't much people doing.
See, you came from Auburn, and you look bigger and stronger, you know.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to have been exposed to a good program in high school, and you're right. And again, and if you remember, when we came back with Billy's group in the mid-'60s, we put the weight program in at Troy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no question about it.
Now,
let me ask this. Did y'all have YMCA when you were growing up?
No, we did not have one.
And you know, Selma, I think, was one of the first YMCA. They had a great...
That's true.
You remember all the athletes used to come out of Selma? You remember that? How good athletes they were that came out of Selma? And a lot of it was because they had those YMCAs that they could shoot basketball and lift weights and things like that.
Very true, Mike, and that's been years and years ago.
But it was a real advantage. I remember when I was growing up, we were all about 6 foot and weighed about 170, 175. If we had lived with weights, we'd have weighed 190, 195. You know,
you absolutely would have. You just, it was very unique in those days to find a program that was a little ahead of anything else. But every one of the programs that I was aware of that had already started in the weight program, as I say, in the 50s, their football program, and really their whole program, basketball and track and field. Baseball didn't quite catch up at that particular time with the weight program, but the fact is all the other sports did.
With their food, with their weight program, now their nutrition. Nutrition's got to be a huge thing now.
It's huge.
And of course, I know you as a weightlifter, you probably used to watch what you eat. Did your daddy ever talk to you about diet at all?
No, and my dad did most of the cooking at my house.
Yeah, most of it was fried then, wasn't it?
I ate eggs every day. When eggs went through that situation they called cholesterol.
Oh yeah.
My dad didn't believe that and didn't know about that.
A guy that was been on my show recently is a bodybuilder and was a former Mr. Alabama, and he says eggs is the best food in the world. He said it's the best food in the world, eggs.
Yeah. So, but that was the thing. My dad, Mike, my metabolism was way faster than I think the average.
Yeah.
I remember coming home at night, and Mom would have a full meal set, but on the side I'd have 2 peanut butter jelly sandwiches and a quart of milk.
And we're talking about listen. Let me just say this, and I haven't said this before, but I'm gonna say it now, Max. I hope I don't embarrass you here. But your dad was wanting you to look like Charles Atlas.
Exactly right.
I mean, really, Charles Atlas had an ad in all these little funny books and all that. Everybody would see that big Charles Atlas, and everybody wanted to look like that. But those that didn't look like that looked like me, and those that had a daddy that pushed him on weights, you were like a freak, a freak.
I was a freak. I don't mind telling you.
I know it.
I weighed 225 or 230 pounds. I wasn't but 5'10".
You couldn't even put on a regular button-down shirt, could you? You could not wear a button-down shirt, could you?
I had a 22-inch neck and a 32-inch sleeve.
And hey, you know, I was having mine pegged and had my tennis shoes, my blue jeans pegged. You didn't have to peg yours, did you?
I filled them out.
But that is the truth, Max. Your daddy was making you out to be a Charles Atlas, and even your friends were puny compared to you.
They were, but here's the thing that we didn't know, Mike, that I lifted so hard. We didn't know about the stretching part. All we were concerned about was bulk at that particular time. And it was years later before I ever got into this.
All right, now let me ask you this, and I'm going to embarrass you here a little bit, maybe. I don't want to. But were you, were you very self-conscious among yourself? I mean, were you always sort of looking like old Johnny Pittman used to do, looking in the windows and all that stuff? Weren't you sort of conscious of the way you looked?
Yeah, I learned quick that I drew attention. Let's put it that way.
Did girls sort of like you a little bit better than they liked some of those scrawny guys?
I didn't have much problem.
But seriously, and then when you went to Auburn, you were bigger and stronger than most of those guys.
Well, I wasn't as tall as most of them. Let me tell you when I got there. I got there at the time they were recruiting Zeke Smith. I'm trying to think that Jerry.
Jackie Burkett, Zeke Smith, Jackie Burkett.
Rice. Bobby
Yeah, that's right, Rice. Yeah.
And I wasn't as tall as those guys, but I could hang in there and stay with them on the field when it came just to one-on-one blocks. But Coach Jordan was already making that transition. See, I was recruited because of two guys, a guy named Chuck Maxley and Ernie Dangine, were the two All-American guards that Auburn had on that 57 national championship team. And they recruited me because I looked like one of those. Both of them about 5'9", 5'10", about 230, and could run. And I fit into that category. But I told you, once that new group came in, I knew I was going to be restricted, not being able to play very much. But that was not the driving force that made me transfer. I told you this before. I wanted to coach. And I know at that particular time, Troy was putting out more coaches than anybody else in this part of the country. Right. And that was the reason I transferred to Troy. Right.
And then when you got here, you befriended two guys, or maybe more than that. I know you made more friends than that, but that saw you and they wanted to look like you. One of them was John Faircloth, and the other one was Jim Tompkins. Three of y'all were by the same, and y'all were good-looking athletes. And let me tell you this, if y'all walked in a bar or a beer joint, y'all would have pretty much won the fight because y'all were a bad-looking bunch right there.
Mike, can I tell you one thing we did?
Hey, let me tell you something. Auburn might have won the football game, but I don't know if they'd won the fist fight down at the beach. Hey, I know you went to the beach during the AA holidays. You loved it, didn't you?
We loved to hang out at Panama City, but our daily activity was Ballards.
Ballard, oh yeah, man. They handed out switchblades when you walked in Ballards, didn't they?
We always had I thought John Faircloth owned it.
Oh yeah. John Faircloth was 18, 19, 20 years old, and he'd go down there and clean the whole place out.
He could do it, man.
That's how old guy got the words for the song that he sang. He said, or that old saying, hey, they gave John Faircloth the beer joint.
That's right.
Instead of Marcel Ledbetter.
There we go. It was an interesting time of Mike, and I had a chance to visit. I was down this past fall at a ball game, and John and I spent about 3 or 4 hours together. And we looked at each other and said, "There's no way we could live through the things we did in those days today."
Well, there's probably a guy that lived across county named Bobby Murchison. Was he from Wetumpka? Where was Bobby from?
Yeah, Bobby's from Eclectic.
From Eclectic, and hey, Eclectic boys and private boys didn't get along.
Well, Bobby Bobby there. I see Bobby this past fall. Bobby calls. He called for Wetumpka High School.
Oh yeah, he's been a play-by-play guy for years.
Right, and he still is.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I showed up in a press box down in Wetumpka for one of the playoff games. I didn't know where the assigned seats were. So this was this past fall, and so I took a chair, and somebody came over and said, "Oh, you can't sit there." I said, "Well, why? Y'all don't have names on the seat." He said, "Oh, that's Mr. Murchison's seat." And in a minute, here come Bobby. So I told him, I said, "Now, you know, if you want to get a seat in this press box, I know it's yours. You got to get here early in this." And we just laughed and had a good time.
I was throwing out a few names here while we talked. You know, Al Hammond was a pretty healthy-looking guy. You remember Al? Was he a little bit younger than you?
He came right behind me.
Guy named Winton Peacock was a pretty good-looking player, wasn't he?
They were. Those guys.
Charlie Dardale. You remember Charlie Dardale from Auburn?
Oh, I do remember Charlie very well. Yes,
And of course, it was so many guys that you befriended when you were at Troy, and you know, like you said, Troy guys were getting a lot of the good coaching jobs, and most of them were going to South Florida. I reckon because they paid more or what?
Yeah, that was the main reason, because of the money situation. You know, I remember.
I mean, John Fairclough coached in Tampa, Florida for a long time, didn't he?
He did, absolutely right. I ended up going to Bay High in Panama City.
And Marvin Wiley went to Auburndale and stayed there the whole time.
Yep. So I mean, that was where the money was. In fact, I told you that. I believe I told you that, Mike, earlier. When I came back to Troy, I'd been coaching 4 years. I was 2 years at Carroll High in Ozark. Then I went to Bay High for 2 years, and came back. I had to take $1,000 a year cut from Bay High to come to teach and coach at Troy.
Exactly.
That was in 1965.
They had another big guy named Bobby Ross. Do you remember Bobby Ross? He coached down there for years, and like you said, it just a world of coaches left the Troy ranks and went on down there to coach. Now, you know, it should have been unfair. When you went to Carroll High School, you might have been the only coach in that part of the country that was teaching lifting weights. Because Danny Grant, I guarantee you, Danny Grant didn't get those calves from catching baseball. You ever notice his legs? You know, Danny Grant wasn't that tall, but if you look at his proportion and looked at his wheels, he had it, didn't he?
I will tell you this, Mike, that not only did we put the weight program in, I built a track around that football stadium.
Yeah.
That was the first track and field. I'll tell you one quick story, and I can't recall the kid's name, but, you know, we picked up some kids out of Fort Rucker that would come in, and I was a track coach, and we had this kid that was coming in that was supposed to be this high-shot pole vaulter. So he came in, and he was like a 10th grader, and he was already pole vaulting 9-10 feet at that time, and that was big in Alabama at that particular time. So, you know, overconfident me, I was going to teach that kid how to get. We bought a fiberglass pole. It spent about $100, and that was a lot of money.
And he would not. Wait a minute, it wouldn't be in now. Wait a minute, you didn't get a fiberglass pole back then, did you? You got an aluminum pole, didn't you?
That's what we started with, aluminum.
You know, Bob Richards on that Wheaties commercial had an aluminum pole.
That's very true. So I had done all this research, and the fiberglass was going to do it. So the kid comes in, and he's at 9.5 and almost 10 feet. And I said, I'm getting ready. I got an All-American here. I'm getting ready to coach this kid up. Well, Mike, in about 2 weeks, I had him down to 8 feet. So
not many people could pole vault, I guarantee you.
Oh, the kid went on to Tennessee on a full track scholarship. I left him alone. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the point is,
but you know, the reason you had different people because Carroll High was getting kids from all over the world. They knew all the sports, you know.
Yeah, we got them out. Of course, Enterprise got the most.
Yeah.
Out of Fort Rucker, but we got our fair share.
Yeah.
And certainly, of course, we had Joe Kelly and Danny Grant.
Oh yeah.
We won a lot of football games with those two kids.
Well, everybody was. I had a question earlier in my show, Max. I said, "Who was the great coach that coached at Livingston, but he coached at a great high school program before then?" Do you know who I'm talking about?
Mickey Andrews?
No, the head football coach at Enterprise High School.
Paul Terry?
No, not Paul Terry. the great one.
Yo.
The great one. His two sons played at Alabama. And
I'm blank.
he came from his hometown was well, you know, he's the one that had the Notre Dame box. He put in the Notre Dame box at Enterprise, and they won just all kinds of games.
I remember that, but the name escapes me.
All right, listen, I'm gonna put you on hold. I'll be right back.
All right.
Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, morning.
Mike Amos calling in, and Mike, do you have an answer to that question? The coach at Enterprise, that son's that put in the Notre Dame box.
The coach at Enterprise?
Yeah, his two sons coached in one of them coached at in Birmingham, and the other one coached in.
We talked about this earlier. What was it, Maurice Higginbotham?
Yeah, Maurice Higginbotham. I'm gonna put you on hold a minute. I'm gonna see if I can bring you on in. Okay. Okay, Max, we got you back. Maurice Higginbotham. You remember Maurice Higginbotham?
Oh yeah.
You remember Coach Higginbotham was such a great coach, and and produced all those great teams.
Yeah, he was at Marion Institute, I believe, also.
Of course, you coached at Livingston. You remember he coached at Livingston when you coached at Troy. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I do remember that. Morris and I got into a kind of a conflict when I first went to Troy. He was at Marion Institute, and Billy had already told me, you know, he said, find us some junior college kids. So I went down the roster, and I found 2 or 3 kids.
One of them's name was Roy Crawford.
Absolutely.
And the other one's name was Buddy Bracken.
Yeah, we go. And,
I can't remember my name, but I can remember stuff like that.
I understand that, and you do.
And what I was enlisted, both of them were Roy Crawford, one of the top trial lawyers in the country. Now lives in Birmingham, multi-millionaire. Buddy Bracken is a judge down in Mobile now. They were good students too.
I told Billy when I recruited those guys, I told him, because I'd already checked on their academic background.
Yeah.
I said, Coach, I'm going to tell you, these 2 kids coming in now, you know, they're going to be a little smarter than most of us. And I said, you better tell them right the first time, because they don't forget it.
Yeah.
And, we used to laugh about that.
And Roy Crawford was born and raised 10 miles from where Zeke Smith was born and raised.
Exactly right, he was. Exactly right.
Buddy Bracken was down in Thomaston, Alabama.
Yep.
From down there.
Well, we got them from everywhere, Mike. We got them.
Yeah.
But Morris Higginbotham, really, I mean, he called me up and just ripped me one Sunday afternoon.
I bet he did.
I said, I'm going to drive to Montgomery. If you got the guts enough to meet me, me and you fix to go face to face for this thing. We laughed about it later because those kids were just freshmen, see.
Oh, yeah.
They were already there. And he wanted to keep them 2 years, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
But, you know, they were making good grades, and they were eligible to transfer. We got both of those guys. We got about 4 off that football team.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm trying to pull another caller in here. Hold on 1 minute. Okay. All right. I still got you, Max. Mike, I've got you too. Max, I got you.
I'm here, yeah.
Okay, still got Max. Max Howell's our guest, brought to you by Bancorp South, located right here on the bypass in Troy, and of course also our good friends at Jean's Flowers. Of many years is the flower shop of the folks of Pike County, and of course Piggly Wiggly, located on North 39th Street right here in Troy. And appreciate all of our sponsors. Max Howell coming in here. Well, what is your regular day like in the spring, Max? Are the azaleas still blooming up there, or have they bloomed yet?
Yeah, they're about bloomed out. Of course, they hit. And we've had a unique winter, Mike. A lot of rain, a lot of hailstorms, couple of hailstorms in the last couple of weeks up here. A little cool this morning, but it's going to be back in the 70s, and we're on the way down, I think, to an early spring. But my deal is I'm still doing a few radio shows, and I'll be at least one day a week. I try to get to a spring practice. I go over to Oxford. I go to Starkville. I go down to Tuscaloosa.
And you know what? You know what? Those players in the huddles will say, "There's Max Howell. There's Max Howell. Look at that. There's Max Howell." You remember?
Mike, they don't remember. Mike, they don't remember that now.
Well, let me tell you this. You'll get a kick out of this. This next week is either this weekend or first of next week. Ace Atkins is speaking at Troy. Can you believe that?
Is that right? Oh, yeah.
Ace Atkins is speaking at Troy. I don't know exactly.
I keep up with Ace.
Yeah.
You know, he's at Oxford. And
Exactly.
He's just written another book. He's written about 10 or 12
Yeah.
books. And you know, I tried to recruit him when I was at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He was coming out of Ole
Well, I don't know how good a football player he was, but he really was pretty now. He was a pretty thing.
Well, he took after his mama.
Yeah.
Ours was a beautiful lady.
Yeah.
She was down at Gulf Shores now.
Yeah.
And again, but no, Ace ended up going to Auburn. He ended up playing there. But his talent was in writing, and he's done a remarkable job. And I say I run into him from time to time.
Well,
when
do
I'm
you
out
think-
on the
do you
road. When
think
he comes
Ace-
people over to a book signing?
Of course, you know, the great one, Gresham, came from Oxford, and of course,
Right.
no telling how much he's worth now. He's written so many
God,
number one sellers.
He's written about.
But I wonder if Gresham is friends with Ace, or did he
I know
inspire
they are,
Ace?
yeah.
You know.
I know they are. John Gresham had to move from Oxford though because he became so popular. I mean, he
Yeah,
couldn't
that's
go
right. He
home.
couldn't even go to the grocery store, could he?
No, he moved up into Virginia.
Yeah.
And he's got a big farm up there and all that. I think he still owns the house in Oxford, but he got so nationally known and internationally known. He wrote, I think at one time, Mike, he had 10 or 12 number one bestsellers, and many of them on the market at the same time. So I mean,
Right.
he's done just a remarkable. And Ace has followed somewhat in his footsteps.
Yeah.
And of course, he still lives at Oxford. And
Well, Oxford's sort of a yuppie place anyway, though, and the arts are big in Oxford, aren't they?
huge. Oh yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of tourists come in there, don't they?
Well, it's become a destination. I'm going to tell you, the property values there, Mike, are just like they're on the beach. I mean, there's
And
nothing.
here it was, and they want everything in walking distance, don't they?
Absolutely do. And I'm telling you, the condos over there for students start at $1,500 a month.
Oh man,
For college, I mean, it's unreal about
Yeah.
the property values in that town.
oh yeah, no
So,
question about it.
They've been, of course, I go to a couple of ball games a year. I go to basketball. They built a $98 million basketball arena, and I'm telling you, it's not many better in the country.
I know it is. Now they fired their coach. What happened there, Max?
Well, it was kind of a mutual agreement.
Big old
He couldn't-
tall guy, you know.
Yeah, Andy Kennedy. He'd been there about 12 years, but he could get him to a certain level, Mike, but couldn't get him beyond that.
That's right.
And they were going through all the other transition. They fired the men's and the women's basketball coach this year.
Oh man.
And of course, all the problems that happened with the football program, Matt Luke became the head football coach and is doing a good job, and I think he'll continue to do a good job there. So they're going through a lot of transition right now.
Well, they hired Luke, who was their assistant coach, and no way in the world would he probably would have ever been a head coach unless the head coach had not been fired and he became interim. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
He probably would have never been a head coach.
I absolutely agree. A great guy, a family man. He's an Ole Miss graduate.
Oh, you can tell he's Ole Miss. He carries himself like a yuppie.
He does.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, sort of struts. Sort of struts a little bit.
Yeah, his brother was a quarterback when I was there. Tommy Luke was a quarterback there. So his whole family, he'd been on the staff there 10 years as an assistant coach. And so, I mean, I don't think they could have done any better than to hire Matt Luke. And I think he'll win 6-7 ball games during this transition while they're going through the probation thing.
Yeah.
And and I think basically the fan base accepts that, and they'll try to come out of it. It'll be 4 or 5 years before they can do it, but I think they made the right decision in hiring Matt Luke.
We're talking to Max Howell, of course. Max, I've got a name on the tip of my tongue, and I can't. I know this, that a girl up the street who was quite a bit older than I was, her name was Gwen Grady. Well, she married a guy from Bay Minette, and her son went on and played quarterback at Ole Miss. He was from Bay Minette, and her daddy was a coach and coached there for a while, but went on and played at, I've got it on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. Do you know anything about that?
Remember. No, I can't remember.
Kelly. His name was Kelly. His first name was Kelly, and
not Kelly.
Yeah, you know, and his daddy was an athlete himself, but not in. He was at Troy. He went to Troy, but I can't remember Kelly. I'll remember it. I'll remember it before long. But he came from Bay Minette, but was at one time an Ole Miss quarterback. Of course, everybody remembers Archie Manning. But how about this? How about the Yankee that played quarterback at Ole Miss that went on and became a New York Yankee?
Oh, that's, yeah.
I know what you mean.
Coach.
Yeah.
He was back on the 57 team that played LSU with Billy Cannon.
Jake Gibbs. Jake Gibbs. Do you remember that name?
Jake Gibbs. Jake tells the story.
All right, now let me tell you another name that is familiar around here. Doug Elmore.
Oh, yeah, all the Elmore.
All right, he was an Elmore from Reform.
That's absolutely right. They're all from Gordo and Pickens County.
Yeah, that's right. And he played quarterback at Ole Miss. And he and Albert Elmore, who was from Troy, played at Alabama. You know Albert. And he, of course, Albert was also one of those same Elmores. And, of course, Albert's daddy played in the Rose Bowl. Huge family. J.T. Elmore was one of them's dad that lived up here in Reform, whatever. But, of course, a lot of
well, we had a distant cousin out of that bunch that played with us, Frank Elmore.
Yeah, sure did. Oh, yeah, he was not no distant. He was just a regular cousin. And Larry Blakeney was Frank's first cousin.
Exactly right.
Exactly.
Right.
Kelly. I'll remember that name before long. But he married, his mama was raised right up the street from me on White Drive in Troy.
Well, we could sit and go through a list of.
But Max, I'm gonna tell you this too. You transferred from Auburn, but I bet you had a ball at Troy, didn't you? You probably had a lot of fun, didn't you?
I'll tell you what, Mike, and I told you this when we first started talking. That was why I really want to go back now. I've spent all my years really trying to build a career. Coached a long time, 30 years, then I did the radio and TV thing all over the South. Fortunate enough to have been in some big markets in Atlanta and a lot of things. And now that I pulled way back, I'm trying to get back and reestablish some of my old friends.
You know what y'all might have done more than anything to enhance Troy sports is you did something with the meal table. You remember one time, if you played football, you might have got an extra roll. That was it. But y'all made it where you could sit there and eat all the time. You had your separate dining line.
That was the thing that Billy brought back from the NFL.
You got to feed kids. You got to feed them.
You got to.
It's just like cows. If you don't feed them, they don't grow.
That's right, and they were starting to get bigger at that particular time. And I remember those kids we had. That team that won the national championship, we didn't have many kids. George Hires weighed about 240. Right. I'm thinking, we had 3 or 4. Our other tackle was Fran Collins, and he wasn't but 190
pounds. That's right. No question about it.
Out of Alabama. He was from Dothan. Alvin Dees was 190 pounds out of Evergreen. Got him from Chattanooga.
That's right.
Renfield came with him. He was about 210, 215. Bobby Floyd.
Oh, yeah. We got to sign off, Max. Stay on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed our show. You can watch us again today at 1:30 on the Troy Cable Channel 2 dial, and hope that you enjoyed our show. Thanks, Max Howell, for calling. We'll see you tomorrow.